again, YouTube. This is Dr.Kendo, and I'm actually here with
Mrs. Kendo!
And Best Man Joseph!
So they're helping me kind of commentate on this creation that I have made in honor of Super Mario 3D World, which Joseph, Mrs. K, and I have all been playing a lot over this weekend, I guess, here. And so I picked up the game when it was released on November 22nd, and we have made Cat Mario right there. So I want to kind of show the process by also making Cat Peach, Cat Luigi, and Cat Toad. And so with Peach specifically, of course, they each are going to have different heads in this game and stuff, and so Scribblenauts Unmasked, of course, has all the villains and heroes of the DC universe. So I used this, I guess it's a villain called Pyra. I just thought she had the shape of Peach's head, and Peach doesn't have all of her hair out when she's in the cat costume, so you can just see the top of her hair right there.
Good.
So it's like peeking out, you know. And so Critter was the little creature right there that I just typed in to make the legs.
It's like Kate Monster.
So the thing about this is that Spot is the name of the base, I guess, object. So that body and those arms right there, that's Spot. It's this like hero, I guess. It's a hero good guy character. It's like this strange Bigfoot looking monster. I'm not familiar enough with the obscure DC Comics things to know, you know, like what he comes from, but you can look it up in the Bat computer in this game, and the Bat computer has info on all the villains and heroes and stuff. So there we are, you know, just a series of dots for her eyes. I got pearls for her earrings and for her crown. You know, you just type in crown and put a pearl up on that. And for the hood for all these cat costumes, you know, they wear the hood on it and it has the cat ears. Each one of those is using a villain, I believe, called Time Trapper. So another DC thing I don't know about, you know. I feel kind of bad because I am kind of a comic book, you know. I love the superheroes and supervillain stories, but I'm not super, you know, up on no pun intended. I'm not really up on all their stories and stuff. But yes, did you notice, guys, that Luigi was the only cat costume that had spots on it in the real game?
No, I didn't notice at all.
It was in the real game, I'm talking. So
I was, in fact, just wondering why you put spots on it. But,
yeah.
I did notice it since he's my favorite character.
But you played as
Yeah.
now, so.
And so the spots aren't exactly this small. It's just Scribblenauts. You know, there were other ways I could have done it possibly by making dots and, you know, turning them black or whatever, but they would be much more obvious. Whereas this makes it look like they blend in more, just like in the game, Super Mario 3D World. You know, his spots aren't dark black. They like blend into the green and stuff. So there you saw, that's what Time Trapper originally looks like. It's that like weird hood without a face. So, you know, like I've transformed this hooded being without a face, and you just put a head for most of the characters. Of course,
Pretty impressive.
with using Peach, of course, we used Pyra, but the rest of them we're just using head. You just type in head, and it puts that generic head there. And so Toad was kind of, I would say, the most different out of all of them that I did, just because Toad, I didn't use the critter legs, you know, so I didn't have these like furry legs or whatever. I used just these like generic arm and leg shapes in Scribblenauts. They're just basic, like, nobody shapes, you know, they don't belong to any specific character or anything. It's just some like legs and arms. And so I used that to make his little legs right there because he's got short stubby legs. Perhaps the arms could end up being a little bit larger, but when they're in their cat form, you know, I like to emphasize that. And all the other characters just had Spot's arm without any gloves, but this one right here that I'm making, Toad, I put on the gloves on the end of his hand. And so you'll see that there are different ways that you can do this, you know, and that's what I like to emphasize that too, you know, when people ask me like, how do you make these crazy objects, you know, you're so good at this, and like, how do you learn all that, you know, and stuff, and I just say, think outside the box for one, you know, think creatively about like what could make the shape that you want to accomplish, but like also, you know, make it your own. You don't have to just copy me exactly, you know, like use these and do it how you like it. So like here I'm just experimenting with what like a different arm could look like, because you know, when they're in the cat suits, they do have basically like white feet and hands. So if you notice their paws, basically the cat paws, they all become white. So it's like every character has their unique color, which both Joseph and Mrs. K are wondering what's up with Mario's color, right?
Yeah, he's yellow. It's weird.
See, there he is. So that's the Scribblenauts Unlimited version, you know, if you want to take a different approach to
why
it.
isn't he furry?
because the Scribblenauts Unlimited one doesn't have the character Spot in it, that monstery looking thing, that Bigfoot monster or whatever. And so this is just like a series of, like I use Hood, for instance, for the hood instead of using Time Trapper for his head because they don't have that. I did want to end it off showing off all the characters, side by side. It's just seeing them all.
These are the Scribblenauts Unmasked cats.
Yeah, that quick Scribblenauts Unlimited clip was just to show you that it is possible to make them in Scribblenauts Unlimited. I think in Unmasked you can get the furry aspect, which it may not be for you because if you play the game Super Mario 3D World, they don't have obvious fur. You know what I mean? It's not jagged like that. Like the fur is just it has the texture. It has the texture that would look like it's furry, but like it doesn't have jagged fur like this character does. But I kind of thought that was the best way to represent it, and I did want to be conscious, of course, of that. The fact that Luigi's taller than Mario, for instance, and Peach is going to be taller than Mario actually, and Toad, of course, is the shortest. So I was conscious of that, and I'm happy with how it turned out. I think it was a little bit like rushed just because this game was coming out, so I wanted to get these objects out, based on the time frame here that we're working with. But
Max is really short.
Oh, Maxwell, yeah.
He's like the same size as Toad.
Well, Maxwell, I believe in this game, Scribblenauts, I believe he's a little kid. He's 10 to
it's just
somewhere.
And this isn't have anything to do with like the quality of your characters, but since Max is so small, Peach and Luigi and Mario kind of look like they're at a furry convention.
Oh, joy. And so they each have cat ears. You can literally type in cat ears and both of those ears appear. So it was like really easy to do that part, of course, and it makes sense, right? And they all have cat tail. So you could just type in cat tail. What's funny is that it comes up with cat tail as the plant, because there's a plant that exists in the world called a cattail. Yeah, you know about the plant.
Like in ponds and stuff.
Yeah, exactly, those things. And so then there's also the cat tail. In parentheses, it says tail. So obviously you want to select the one that says tail, not plant. I mean, I don't know. You could try it with the plant, but it wouldn't look the same. But yeah. So I like that. All the cat characters do walk on all fours and stuff, so I'm very aware of that. I know somebody would probably make a comment about that, but it would definitely look very funky, taking it to that level. You could start out with a cat in Scribblenauts and then edit the head and make it their heads right there and do it that way. So that's another option if you want to make them run on all fours. So, what do you guys think? Does it look at least close enough to the game?
I think it looks remarkably like the game, particularly Toad. I think that Toad is
good.
Yeah, I like Toad too.
Grand slam out of the park, or the rest are home runs.
I think with the Toad, his you paid more attention to making him shorter on purpose.
Yeah.
So I feel like his height is more like accurate in perspective, whereas Mario and Luigi, they're almost like the same kind of fatness too, and Luigi's like skinny.
And that's one thing I wish the one thing that I've always hoped for when I'm creating things in Scribblenauts is I wish there was a way to skew, so i.e. to stretch wide or to stretch thin, because there's no way to do that. You have to resize it as it is. So the proportions, i.e. the aspect ratio of an object is always going to stay the same.
So you can't make Luigi skinnier.
So there's no real way to make things thinner or fatter through the object editor. You can apply an adjective to any object and put skinny or fat or whatever, but then you're gonna, every time you click on Cat Mario, for instance, somebody will be like downloading it. Oh, okay, I'm gonna put it out on the map, and then click on it or whatever, like tap on it to see what it's called. It'll say Fat Cat Mario. You know what I mean? Like it'll always have that adjective there, and so I don't want that adjective to be stuck to them. So
who you calling fat?
Yeah, I mean, what,
You don't want Cat Mario to have a negative body image.
I was more laughing at Fat Cat, like a big deal in a
Fat
company.
Cat.
That's awesome. Fat Cat Mario.
Fat Cat Mario.
On a Nintendo.
So yes, I think everybody, I know that I'm not taking requests right now and everything like that, and people really want their object requested, and I am going on the list, of course, so I haven't abandoned my list of everybody's requests, so I will be getting to that. I just definitely thought that this warranted, I gotta make these cat characters, because this game is awesome. We have been playing it all weekend, as I said, and we've got a lot of videos up, so definitely encourage you guys to go check those out. I'll put a link at the end right here to those. Any closing remarks, Mrs. K? You played the game, so.
They're cute.
Awesome. Well, alrighty.
I didn't notice Luigi had spots, so thank you for talking about that.
Well, you are very welcome. That's what I do here. So I will catch you guys on the next vid, and thank you so much, Joseph and Mrs. K. So, thanks for viewing.
Bye.